Last year I reviewed the Galaxy Tab S3. It was a premium Android tablet. I really liked it, although I wasn't a big fan of those large bezels that it had on its display. Now I have its follow-up here in the studio. This is the Tab S4, which was released recently by Samsung, and it has a very beautiful 10.5-inch Super AMOLED display. It's got an improved S Pen, and of course it has that premium glass and metal design. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my unboxing and review of the Samsung Galaxy Tab S4. Coming up. Want to see more videos like this? Why not hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit that notification icon? This way you'll be alerted every time I post a new video. And don't forget to check me out on my social media, especially Twitter, because that's where I post all the latest updates. And today's video is brought to you by AlexandraStylus.com, makers of some great replacement tips for your Surface Pen. I'll put all the links below for more information. Now, powering the Samsung Galaxy Tab S4 is the Qualcomm Snapdragon 835. It has 4 GB of RAM and either 64 or 256 GB of onboard storage, which is expandable via the microSD card slot. It's got a 7300 mAh battery, and it has a 10.5-inch Super AMOLED display, and of course it has the S Pen. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. And it's not cheap, coming in at $650 for the 64 GB model, $750 for the 256 GB model. I'll put all the links below for more information and where you can buy one. And it comes in 2 different colors, black and gray. I chose the black. But enough with the specs, let's find out what you get inside the box. Let's open this sucker up. Opening the lid, you're greeted by the unit itself, and the first impressions you get with this tablet is that it's very high-end and very premium. With its glass and metal design, we'd expect nothing less from this Samsung Galaxy line. Now, also in the box are some included accessories. You get your tip remover tool and some extra tips for this. It's the S Pen, and this time around it actually feels like a really good pen. Feels like a regular size pen with a nice substantial weight to it. I like it. You get your USB-C cable and your adaptive fast charger. We've seen that before from Samsung. And you get some documentation and warranty information as well. Now, unfortunately, they don't include the book cover keyboard. That's $150 that you'll have to pay separate from the purchase of the tablet. And I think that's a bit unfortunate. I think they should have included it at that price point of $650. Unfortunately, you're not going to get it. You'll have to shell out that money if you want a productivity keyboard to use with this tablet. Now, there are 4 speakers on this, 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. They're AKG branded, and they actually sound pretty good. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Now, good to see a 3.5mm headphone jack on this. No interference, no static with my testing, and of course the USB-C port. The buttons are metal, and the overall build quality is excellent. Good job, Samsung, in that department. Now, this is not a very heavy tablet at 482 grams, but it's certainly not light. It's a shade over 1 pound, and it's a pretty thin tablet, and it's also very portable, making it very convenient to carry with you to class or to meeting. Now, when you use the tablet with the keyboard, you can put it in something called DeX mode, which gives you a very desk-like or PC-like experience, and I thought it worked pretty well, allowing you to multitask with this tablet. And I think this is a pretty interesting idea, and I thought it works pretty well, but I think it has a lot of room for improvement. It wasn't actually perfect, but I like the ability to resize the windows, much like you can on Windows 10. You can move it around, and you can multitask. And I think that's the whole thing behind this, getting work done in this DeX mode. It's a pretty good start, and I think they can build on this and improve on it with future updates. So I like where they're going with this. And just like the Samsung Galaxy Note 9 we recently took a look at, this includes the S Pen at no additional cost. Now, it has 4,096 levels of pressure sensitivity, and it uses the Wacom EMR technology, meaning there's no battery. You don't have to worry about recharging it or having to find quadruple A batteries as you have to do with other digital pens, and that's pretty good. Now, one of the reasons I really like this pen is its size and weight. It actually feels like a regular pen, so when you're taking notes or sketching out artwork, it actually feels really good. Unfortunately, because of its size, there's nowhere to store it on the tablet itself, so you will have to get the keyboard case because that has a place where you can store the pen. And speaking of digital pens, I want to take a moment to thank AlexandraStylus.com for sponsoring today's video. Now, I know a lot of you in my audience use Surface pens with their Surface devices, whether it be a Surface Book, Surface Pro, Surface Laptop, or any of the other Surface devices. The pen tips will wear out over time, so you will need a replacement strategy. But unfortunately, the Microsoft offering doesn't really do the job, and there's a few reasons why. First off, they only give you one HB tip. That's the one people use the most. And the tip remover tool will damage the stylus head over time as well. That's not good either. So I recommend going with the Alexandra pen tips, and I want to thank Alexandra for sponsoring today's video and providing a really nice third-party accessory for the Surface Pen. And one thing I really like about it is the fact they give you 3 HB tips. That's the one people use the most. That's the one people need. And changing out the tips couldn't be any easier. No tool needed. That's a big leg up over the Microsoft offering. Now, getting back to the Tab S4, probably one of its best features is its eye-popping 10.5-inch Super AMOLED display, which is simply gorgeous. It has a resolution of 2560 by 1600, that's 288 pixels per inch, and it has a 16 by 10 aspect ratio, making it great for consuming media such as Netflix and YouTube. Now, one of the things I really like is the fact that this has a very bright display at 465 nits, and here's how it did against its competition. As you can see, it just came up a little bit short of the iPad Pro's 478 nits, but it did much better than the category average of 443 nits, making it great for both indoor and outdoor use. And because it has that Super AMOLED display, you're going to get those very deep inky blacks and the very vibrant punchy colors. It's also HDR10 compliant, meaning that when you're watching HDR content, it really stands out. It is something special. Now, it covers the color gamut extremely well with an eye-popping 220% sRGB, which is simply excellent. And as you can see, it buries its competition in this category. Now, last year's Galaxy Tab S3 had some pretty unattractive thick bezels. Well, they've slimmed them down here on the Tab S4, although I think they could have gone a little bit slimmer. Now, the reason they probably kept them a little bit thicker is to give you something to hold when you're using this as a tablet. I totally understand that, although I am more partial to having slimmer bezels. Although this is a step in the right direction, as when you compare it to last year's Tab S3, here they could have gone a little bit slimmer in my opinion. Now, when it comes to performance, I wasn't disappointed, although they went with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 835. That's last year's flagship processor. Kind of wish they went with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 845, this year's flagship processor. Nonetheless, it does have 4 GB of RAM, and it does have some pretty good performance, as you can see from these results. You can game on high settings without any issues, and you can do some multitasking as demonstrated in the DeX mode earlier in this video. The bottom line is it does pretty good in terms of performance, not quite as good as the iPad Pro 10.5. That chip is a little bit faster, a little bit more tuned to the tablet experience, although this isn't a slouch by any means. Now, as I stated earlier, this has quad speakers, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, for really good stereo sound. They're AKG branded, and it has Dolby Atmos. Let's hear them in action to give you an example of just how they sound. If you watch my channel, you know I don't like taking any kind of video or photos with a tablet. That's just been my policy, and I think a lot of other people feel the same way. Having said that, the cameras on this aren't too bad. Front-facing 8-megapixel shooter, as well as a 13-megapixel rear-facing autofocus camera. Now let's see them in action. So this is the front-facing camera on the Samsung Galaxy Tab S4. It's actually pretty good for a tablet. I've seen worse, that's for sure. Definitely you can use it for Skype, you can do it for video conferencing. But again, I wouldn't be taking too many photos or videos in general with tablets. You know my policy on that. But if you need to do Skype, it can certainly get the job done. I want to know what you think. Let me know. in that comment section below. Now the rear 13 megapixel autofocus camera on the back is not too bad. It's got an f1.9 aperture and it does give you a little bit of a blurred background, a bokeh effect, but it's certainly not great. And again, tablets in general are not going to be great, so I didn't have any high expectations. Having said that, I have seen worse and this isn't too bad for a tablet camera. Let me know what you think in that comment section below. So this is the 4K video on the Samsung Galaxy Tab S4, and as you can see, it is what it is. Again, at the end of the day, this is still a tablet. I wouldn't be taking too many photos or videos with a tablet. I think you know my stance on that by now. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. Now when it comes to endurance, I would say that the Galaxy Tab S4 is good but not great. It does have a 7300 milliamp hour battery, and here's how it did on my continuous web surfing test over Wi-Fi. It did 9 hours and 47 minutes, which is well below the iPad Pro 10.5 inches 14 hours and 2 minutes, which did much better. But of course your mileage may vary depending on how you use the device. Please keep that in mind. Now they do supply a quick charge 2.0 adapter in the box, and it takes about 2 hours and 8 minutes to get a full charge when charging from zero. Now it's running Android 8.1 Oreo as well as the Samsung Experience 9.5, and I have to say Samsung Experience has come a long way from the days of TouchWiz, which was very bloated and was a very heavy skin. I have to say this is a much better implementation and much lighter skin that Samsung decided to go with, and that's a good thing. Now Samsung did away with the fingerprint sensor on this device, so in order to log in, you're going to have to use face recognition in tandem with iris scanning for security purposes, and for the most part it worked okay, although not perfect, and not quite as good as Face ID on iOS. So to wrap things up, can I recommend the Samsung Galaxy Tab S4? And the answer is yes. Although it's not perfect, it has a few flaws, I definitely can recommend it. Here's what I like. I like its stunning, bright, Super AMOLED display. I like the fact you get pretty much all-day battery life, quad speakers that are really strong. I like the improved S Pen, and I'm a big fan of the DeX mode, although it's not perfect. Now, the keyboard's a bit cramped, and there is no backlight on the keyboard, and of course, DeX has room to improve, and it is very expensive, but there are no potential deal breakers. It's a solid offering. I'm going to give it a score of 88%, making the Samsung Galaxy Tab S4 worth your money. So what do you think about the Samsung Galaxy Tab S4? I really like it. I think this is a nice upgrade over the Tab S3 from last year. Love that gorgeous 10.5-inch Super AMOLED display. It definitely has some slimmer bezels, although not the slimmest. It's definitely slimmer than last year's Tab S3. Love the improved S Pen. Really helps with taking notes. Improved functionality with it, great for sketching out artwork. Again, great for notes in a classroom or in a meeting. Really like it. Now, as far as the keyboard case, I really do like it, although I think it should come included in the price point, although you will have to pay $150. I picked mine up for $75 as Samsung was having a promotion when they released the Tab S4 recently. So I'm not sure if they still have that, but at $75, this is definitely a lot easier to swallow than paying the $150. But having said that, the only thing I don't like about this, there's no backlit keyboard on this, and of course the keys are a bit cramped, but that's to be expected for a 10.5-inch device that this is. Now, as far as battery life is concerned, it's pretty much an all-day battery life, shade under 10 hours on my continuous web surfing test, although it didn't last as long as the iPad Pro 10.5-inch, which lasted a lot longer. But this is no slouch in that department. 10 hours, definitely will give you all-day battery life. But I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comment section below. Probably one of the best features of this is the DeX mode. I think they're onto something there as far as productivity, multitasking, to give you a more PC-like or desktop-like experience. And I think they've pretty much accomplished that, although there is room for improvement. I like where they're going with this. I want to know what you think about the DeX mode as well, so leave me a comment in the comment section below. What do you think of the Galaxy Tab S4? It comes in at $650. That's for the starting model of 64 gigabytes. Another $100 will get you the 256 gigabyte model. I'm not sure if you need it. There is a micro SD card slot, so you do have storage expansion. But again, it gets expensive, especially if you're going to add in the keyboard case, which will bump up into iPad territory. So I really do like it nonetheless. I think there are no real deal breakers on this, and I really like this as one of the best Android tablets out there. Again, I want to know what you think. Let me know in that comment section below. So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, and of course my website, AMDtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew from AMD Tech. See ya.